So since my first episode ended near the first rival fight, I want to pick up right where I left off. But actually, I should really do the introduction first. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of my Pokemon Yellow Nuzlocke Challenge. If you'd like to know more about the rules, then I have a great explanation about the rule set in my first episode. Go and check that out. So let's have a look at the team so far. There's Peugeot, the Pidgey, level 8 with Gust and Sand Attack. There's Mr. Jingles, the Pikachu, with Thundershock, Growl, Tail Whip, and Thunder Wave. And then there's my level 8 Nidoran, whose most important move is Horn Attack. It'll be these three top-tier talents that will have to face off against my rival. So Gary always starts off with the Sparrow, and in this case, I use a bird Pokemon of my own, and my options are either using Gust or using Sand Attack. So I decide to go for, well, Gust, because it seems to do decent damage, and maybe 3 or 4 Gusts will be enough. It's looking like 3 so far. And the final Gust crits, which is nice, and my Pidgey levels up. Nice. So next up is Gary's Eevee, his ace, and I decide to stay in with Peugeot and go for a scumbag sand attack strategy. This is because I want to create a situation in which I can switch in Nidoran relatively safely, and I want to get some more XP on that Nidoran. So making Eevee miss attacks is part of that plan. Although sand attacks facilitate the free switch for Nidoran, which is nice, and then I try to go for as much damage as possible, which is Horn Attack basically. But since it does decent damage but not amazing damage, it's going to take a couple of Horn Attacks more before we can get Eevee to faint. And right here, Eevee lives on a sliver and then manages to deal some pretty decent damage itself. But luckily we don't get in any real trouble and manage to win the fight without losing any Pokemon. Right, so for my next encounter and for the next part of this episode, here's some raw footage from the actual recording that I used. It's a little bit unpolished, but I hope you'll enjoy it nonetheless. I always kind of hope there's a t-shirt from this guy because he's sort of iconic to me. The old guy who is kind of being a douche to you at first, not letting you through, and then once he's had his coffee, it's all fine. And his apology is to show me how to not catch a Rattata. He's also got a Skullet. Am I seeing that right? Is that a Skullet? On the last turn, too. Alright, thanks, man. Let's move on. Am I good on potions? Yeah. Let's just keep going. Let's just go to Viridian. Not sure about the routes, though. I know there's a patch of grass coming up. Route 2, Viridian City, Pewter City. Alright, I'm gonna take that as this patch of grass also being part of Viridian Forest. So I'm just gonna walk into Viridian Forest. Not sure if I'm cheating on any rules here, but I don't really care. Okay, Pidgey. That's Dupes, right? I'm calling Dupes Claws. Metapod. Nice. And this is where I meet and catch Bob the Metapod. Welcome to the team, Bob. So the next part of this episode is all about making it through Viridian Forest without getting anyone killed. And then the second priority is to get Nidoran to level 12. Why is this important? Well, first up, I have a Pikachu which will not be able to do anything against Brock. I have a Pidgey which can do slightly more than Pikachu against Brock, but still not that much. Then there's a Metapod, which could potentially be a Butterfree with Confusion and deal some damage, but right now my best bet is to get that fighting move on Nidoran and beat Brock using Double Kick. So I wade my way through the tall grass and get myself into a fight with Bugcatcher after Bugcatcher after Bugcatcher until finally, half limping, out of breath and struggling, I make my way out of Viridian Forest. Nah, I'm exaggerating a bit. I mean, I bought a couple of potions, and as discussed in the first video, I allowed myself to heal up my Pokemon in between fights. My next piece of business is Brock, but not before I do some training. So I just grind up my Pokemon somewhere in a patch near Pewter City until eventually Bob evolves into Butterfree. Now, with Double Kick on Nidoran and a backup Butterfree, we're ready to fight Brock. As it turns out, and as I kind of expected, Nidoran doesn't get in all that much trouble. There's a nice crit on a Double Kick, and it takes about 2 turns to take out the Geodude. With Onix, though, there is a bit more of a defensive stat to worry about. As you can see here with this Double Kick, it'll take a couple more shots just to really take that Rock Snake down. Onix starts to screech, and so I have to be careful not to get too many screeches to get in range to be KO'd. But there's also one other thing which I'm not quite sure about, but which I thought might be the case. It seems like there is a speed tie between Nidoran and Onix, because one turn I outspeed with Double Kick, and then the next turn Onix outspeeds me with Bind or Tackle. But in the end it doesn't matter, because we pick up the KO and we make it through the rock-hard defense of Brock in fine style. So that's it for this second episode of my Pokemon Yellow Nuzlocke Challenge. If you enjoyed watching this, please leave a like and consider joining me again for the third episode when I take this team of Pokemon and make my way through Mount Moon. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.